I'm Dana Lawson, CTO of Netlify, and I'm joined today with the awesome Shama.
Hey, Dana. It's always a pleasure. Always. Hey, everyone. My name is Shaw. I'm currently CTO at Catalyst Software. I've been here for 3 years. We're a fast growing customer success and revenue platform. And we recently just merged with Tatango in our space, and I'll continue to be the CTO of the combined company. Prior to this, I worked with Dana at GitHub. We were counterparts. I was her counterpart on the ecosystem, community, and core platform side of things. And yeah, it's been fun. And thank you for having me here.
Well, thank you so much, Shaw. It's always awesome to get to reconnect. And, we've been through some wild times. And let me tell you what, I think the future is going to be even wilder. And today we're going to be talking about how to future-proof your engineering and R&D teams for the next revolution in technology, which is on the tip of everybody's tongue, AI. Now, you and I, Shaw, we're kind of not new timers. And the concept of generative AI and, frankly, machine learning has been around for decades. We've actually been interacting with this software and this technology longer than I think people have come to realize. But the advanced escalation of tech and specifically generative AI is definitely changing the landscape for technology teams, I think, in every facet of the industry. And I'm curious, Shaw, how are you thinking about future-proofing, your infrastructure, your teams, your processes to adapt and change and grow with this new landscape and technology?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the way I think about it is that, there's always new technologies coming around. This is our industry. This is our discipline, right? And, you can't fear new technology. So you have to kind of think, what are some of the guidelines I can put in place, and how do I help my team continue to learn and embrace new technology? So I think this wave of Gen AI started pretty fast. Like, it started with OpenAI launching their, ChatGPT, and then every investor out there, every board is asking, like, what is your AI strategy? What are you doing about it? And then all the developers on the engineering team are saying, like, hey, can I install Copilot? Can I do this? Can I try out all these different new technology? And so I think a lot of companies then get caught a little bit in this kind of scramble about, like, hey, do I shut things down? Do I open up everything? What are the guidelines? And so we actually started at the policy level. So we had a good chat with our legal counsel and came up with some recommendations for the team. So we said, hey, from a developer, tools perspective, yes, like, we want to encourage people to explore, to learn, and then also to see if you can accelerate, right? And use some of these Copilot type of tools. But there are some rules in place that we want to put, right? So in terms of, like, never share customer data, always use the company account. We don't want you to use personal account and mix, things like that. So you always use your company account to sign up. Don't share out customer data. And then when you do, use something like Open API, just make sure that you put it on the strictest settings so that people are not learning on our data. So we put some of those in place. And then essentially we kind of gave a little bit more empowerment to our team to begin exploring. I think there's a couple of things to think about from, product type and business perspective. So again, when your investors like, what are you doing to launch an AI feature, right? I think we just saw the market just get flooded with, like, chatbots out there. And it's like, well, how many of these chatbots do you actually need? So I think it's really important to think about, like, internally, what is a good use case? And in particular, what is a good use case for Gen AI and large language models? So again, just to use Catalyst as an example, we actually have a very suitable use case for Gen AI. The reason is that, so our tool, we actually integrate with a lot of different sources of data. And a lot of those are, less quantitative and more verbal. So, like, CSMs, customer success managers, take notes and manage relationships with customers. They have phone call recordings and things like that. So a lot of times, like, how do you extract true sentiments of which customer is at risk, who is ripe for renewal and expansion, right? Those are actually really interesting, deep AI use cases that can be built out versus just like, oh, let me just put another chatbot here on our interface and call it a day, right? And so be thoughtful about your AI strategy and what you want to do with it.
I can't agree more. It's kind of
Yeah.
interesting that y'all started at the policy level too. In fact, I think a lot of companies are starting to think about, how do we ensure that we can train up our team, utilize the technology, but more importantly, do it in a way where our customers and users have confidence because it's not only, new-ish, I would say for us and our teams, but more so for that end user. So definitely a great approach because at the end of the day, right? Like it is a tool, and we have been utilizing tools and different services, API endpoints. And I know a lot of companies, good companies, are always security minded. And so you typically have some form of process and procedure in place already about data. But I think because this is so novel and new in a lot of industries, it's incredibly important to define your policy and your use case against it as the rest of the industry starts to mature and some of these different compliances come into place. I wanted to ask you about like, when your team, particularly having an opportunity within your product to adopt some of this technology, we first want to usually make our team very comfortable with it first internally. What were some of the things you thought of to get your team ready to not only, be comfortable with utilizing this technology, but also be product minded about it? What did you put in place post policy? Were you like gravitating towards any particular tool set? Did you start within your build system? Shaw, I'd love to hear like what was that kind of like, crawl before run version of adoption within Catalyst?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually started with, internal, like not quite hackathons, but like proof of concept ideas of what we wanted to do with this technology. And we had a small team essentially really dig deep in a couple of different areas of where we wanted to build out. First, we have email data where we're like, hey, how easy is it to ask and extract sentiments from this email data? And what can we do with that? We had more kind of risk analysis and gong call recording. So we kind of did another initiative there. So we had a couple of different groups looking at different ways we can apply AI internally. Instead of just doing prompt engineering, we actually really looked at this holistically and had our team learn about, embeddings, lane chain, vector databases, and all the available technology out there and how they actually all come together to build something, like a RAG model or something, right? For like actually adding our own context on top of these large language models, and how do we make it, more suitable and native to our own product. And so after that, this small group actually did a lot of knowledge sharing sessions where we kind of shared out like what is this AI thing, for everyone else out there who's like been heads down doing more product development, like how do we think about this? What are some shortcuts? What are some things? We also leverage our vendors quite a bit. So there are a lot of like vendors out there, whether it's cloud providers or data vendors, that are more than happy to kind of put together, a webinar or a seminar to kind of help talk a little bit about what they're currently doing. We have a pretty strategic partnership with Databricks. They're actually an investor in Catalyst. And so basically they've been talking about kind of what they're doing on the AI front and how we can get early access to some of the things that they're doing. So that's also been very helpful.
Oh, that's incredible. I mean, again, maybe, I don't know, Shaw, maybe we and you just share the same vibe. But similarly, that's how we kind of approached it at Netlify. It was definitely, let's go start think about policy and really think about how our customers are going to expect us to utilize this and also understand where that data is going. Both of us serve global systems and global teams that have different rules and measures and within place. But we also started small with like a proof of concept hackathon. We do an annual hackathon at Netlify where I love it. I mean, it's my favorite time. It's just amazing. It's amazing what teams can produce when you just say, here's a problem, go solve it. But we started with that too, putting a little motion between our hackathon. And we recently released our second AI feature. Our first one was really based around our doc system and training it on the utilization of our docs so that when you go in, you could just ask it a question and have that back and forth response and find an answer. That was really fun to like, a little tip of the iceberg stuff. And then we kind of approached it similarly to you with our next feature that we released, which was a build failure diagnostic tool, which will tell you like, hey, like Dana, Dana, terrible front end engineer. You have spaces, stuff that typically would stop an engineer from being able to just move faster with getting those. And everybody doesn't like build failures, but I think the same concept of that of teaching while doing is incredibly a great way to just really get your team comfortable. We did an AI survey within Netlify because we were thinking, well, this isn't just a technology team to really embrace generative AI in the next frontier of whatever we're going to make in this space. We knew that business systems were equally as important. And so, again, I think it's interesting, going through gone calls, turning on features within your business systems, whether it be your messaging or your email, because at a point, if you want to make this, I would say, something where you can be proud of utilizing it in your tool set, you really have to go out there and enable all of the people in the team. So thinking about that, what are some of the ways that you've had to rethink, or if you are thinking about, your current architecture? I know for me, I'm always like in the CTO mindset of like, monoliths, service-oriented architecture for y'all that don't know that acronym, or, microservices, everybody's favorite and always will be favorite hotness, or, composable architecture, which I think really most architectures have a bit of composability to it. But for me, I think it's more important than ever to future-proof our stack so that we can embrace these tools. And so, have you changed any kind of thoughts about, your external API endpoints? You did mention that you're thinking about integrating, and I think there's so many amazing tools coming out. Definitely integrations. You want the best of the best in your tool set. Is that an approach that y'all are also considering as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually handle a lot of data. And the way I like to describe it is that we're almost kind of like a customer data platform for each one of our customers, right? So they want to bring in their own customer data into our platform. And so when we have an integration with the data providers like Fivetran or Databricks, we're not just managing that as an internal BI system. We're actually essentially managing a BI system for each and every one of our customers. And so, in the last couple of years, we've really kind of modernized our entire data stack, especially to position ourselves to take advantage of some of these latest technology, right? And so we went from more of Postgres Elasticsearch architecture towards more of a modern data architecture leveraging ELT, where we use Fivetran connectors as well as Airflow for orchestration to just bring all that data in on behalf of our customers. And essentially, Databricks is both our transformation platform as well as our source of truth for where we kind of put that data. And then we also built a serving layer on top of that to meet our application transactional level performance, for our customers. But so now that architecture gives us a lot of flexibility in terms of what we do with that data, whether we kind of extract portions of that data and put it in like a vector database to kind of help assist some of these use cases that we've been talking about. But we have the infrastructure and the foundations for that, which is really exciting.
That is exciting. It's always awesome to hear how other, problems and other technology challenges are approached, especially with a company like y'all's, which are really heavy on the data. And then like Netlify, where we have an application platform, a global CDN, and a plus of other cool stuff behind the scenes that y'all should go check out. Shaw, it has been awesome to talk about this. At the end of the day, it's about always carrying forward that growth mindset, ensuring that you're paying attention to the things that are changing and being ready for that rapid change. If you ask me, it's a little bit more of the same, but with a little bit more exciting tool set that's emerging. But those practices that have been in place for years, whether it be extensibility, composability, or DevOps, are going to continue to be in place in this AI revolution. Thank you so much, Shaw, for joining me today and having this conversation. I'm sure we could go on forever.
I know.
But if people have questions, where can they hit you up? Are you on the social, Shaw?
Yeah, you can hit me up on Twitter. My handle is at StartupShaw. So super easy to remember. And yeah, that's probably the best place. You can also find me on LinkedIn. So
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you again, Shaw. And you can find me on LinkedIn because I don't do the many socials, but you can also hit me up on Netlify. I hope you enjoyed this conversation and have a great one.
yeah, thanks.